I'm in this bitch. I'm in a motherfucking cave. You already know. I'm gonna take some time pictures. Look at that. Are you taking a picture of what? Or video?
Video.
Okay. Tell me when.
Go. I started it.
I'm gonna be in the picture.
There are also new developments tonight in a case that has gained national attention. A young woman found dead in her bedroom after a date with a man she had just met. The family of Lauren Smith Fields says police have mishandled this case from the very beginning, but now, a day after authorities ruled her death accidental and overdose, police are now opening up a criminal investigation.
It's killing me inside. I miss my baby.
The mother of 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields of Bridgeport says her family's world came crashing down 10 days ago when her daughter was found dead inside her apartment on Plymouth Street.
The text arrived late on a Friday night with a simple confirmation of a first date. By Sunday morning, Lauren Smith Fields, a vibrant 23-year-old, lay still and silent in her bed. A life brimming with promise had been extinguished in a matter of hours. How could a seemingly ordinary night end in such a profound and perplexing silence? Think about the last time you said goodbye to someone you loved. Did you ever imagine it could be the final farewell? For Lauren's family, the initial explanation offered for her death felt like a jarring discord, and a note completely out of tune with the melody of her life. They were told it was an accidental overdose which she had earlier taken, but the evidence painted a far more unsettling picture, with a portrait of a case that was too quickly closed.
Calls have been growing louder, like this march on Sunday. Hundreds calling on police to investigate the death of 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields. Investigators say she overdosed in her Connecticut apartment on December 12th in the company of a man she had just met on the dating app Bumble. Since the beginning, her family has questioned what really happened and whether police properly investigated.
No one is going to discard my daughter like she's rubbish.
Today, a major development. Bridgeport, Connecticut police now say they will investigate the death as a crime and will be assisted by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The police chief says the Bridgeport Police Department continues to treat the untimely death of Lauren Smith Fields as an active investigation, as we are now refocusing our attention and efforts to the factors that led to her untimely death.
Welcome to Cold Twist True Crime Stories, where we explore the dark mysteries and unfiltered truth of real crimes. If you're joining us for the first time, kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell icon so you don't get to miss our future posts on any of our latest stories.
He's running, look! They about to jump! Yo, no, we're not scary! Can y'all jump already? Oh, shit! Oh, my God!
Bridgeport, Connecticut knew Lauren Quinique Smith Fields as a spark. Born on a cold January day in '98, she carried a warmth that drew people in. To her mother, Chantel, and her father, Everett, she was a cherished daughter. For her brothers, Kyle, Lakeem, and Tavar, she was a constant source of laughter and connection. Her smile, they remember, could light up any room. Driven and resourceful, she even established her own small business, a testament to her ambition and desire to shape her own future. Online, through her YouTube and TikTok channels, she shared her passions, connecting with a wider world. This portrait of Lauren, a young woman juggling academic dreams with entrepreneurial drive, a former athlete with an inherent energy, clashes sharply with the narrative of a life carelessly lost to accidental drug use. For her family, this incongruence was a painful alarm. They knew Lauren. They knew her zest for life, her plans, and her inherent caution. The idea that she would succumb to a sudden, accidental overdose simply didn't align with the young woman they loved so deeply. This fundamental disconnect fueled their immediate and unwavering resolve to uncover if the initial assessment truly reflected the reality of Lauren's final hours. Was the full truth about Lauren's final hours ever truly sought? Sit back and subscribe to Cold Wish True Crime Stories as we reveal these unsettling mysteries behind Lauren's murder. December 11th began with the anticipation of a new connection. Lauren had agreed to meet Matthew LaFontaine, a man 14 years her senior, whom she'd connected with on Bumble just 3 days prior. He arrived at her Bridgeport apartment that evening, with a bottle of tequila in his hand. It was a day marking their first and only face-to-face encounter. According to LaFontaine's account to the authorities, the evening unfolded with the casual intimacy of a first date. Drinks were shared, food was eaten, and a movie played in the background. Within his recollection, the evening held a few notable moments. He stated Lauren excused herself to the bathroom after feeling unwell. Later, she received a text, prompting her to step outside briefly to meet her brother. Upon returning, she went back to the bathroom, remaining there for a considerable stretch of time, 10 to 15 minutes, he estimated. Eventually, LaFontaine claimed Lauren fell asleep on the sofa. He then carried her to her bed, where he joined her, noting that he heard her snoring in the early hours of the morning, around 3 a.m. However, this seemingly straightforward sequence of events took a sharp turn after Lauren's death. When her family entered her apartment, seeking any clue, any understanding, they discovered something that directly contradicted LaFontaine's narrative: a used condom containing semen in the bathroom. This piece of evidence, stark against his claim of no sexual intimacy, immediately ignited a firestorm of questions. What truly transpired between Lauren and Matthew LaFontaine that night? Was his version of events entirely accurate? And could this discrepancy hold a key to the unanswered questions surrounding Lauren's demise? Was the full truth about Lauren's final hours ever truly sought? The morning of December 12th saw emergency services arrive at Lauren's apartment, prompted by Matthew LaFontaine's 911 call. First responders noted his distressed state at the scene. The initial police documentation recorded Lauren's body lying on its back, with dried blood evident near her nose. In the immediate aftermath, authorities collected her phone, credit cards, and passport, standard procedure, yet offering little solace to a family anxiously awaiting information. The silence from the authorities stretched into weeks, amplifying the family's unease. Then, almost 6 weeks after Lauren's passing, the medical examiner's office delivered its verdict. Lauren Smith Fields died due to acute intoxication from a combination of fentanyl, promethazine, hydroxyzine, and alcohol. The manner of her death was classified as an accident. For Lauren's loved ones, this pronouncement was met with disbelief and anger.
The medical examiner says Lauren's death was due to the combined effects of fentanyl, promethazine, hydroxyzine, and alcohol. The man she was with said they were drinking shots of tequila and became ill. He carried her to her bedroom and laid down next to her and fell asleep. At 6:30 a.m., he says he woke up and she was not breathing and had blood coming out of her nostril, so he called 911. But Lauren's family says there are parts of the story that don't add up. And now police are pledging they will investigate where the drugs came from and whether it's possible someone gave Lauren the lethal cocktail.
The presence of fentanyl, in particular, contradicted everything they knew about her life. Further compounding their distress were reports highlighting that promethazine and hydroxyzine have, in some instances, been linked to cases of drug-facilitated sexual assault. This information ignited a chilling possibility in the minds of Lauren's family, deepening their suspicion of foul play.
Lose your daughter, your only daughter, your baby girl, at such a ripe age of 23 years old, and to be treated the way we was treated by Bridgeport Police Station and the department is unacceptable.
Their legal representative voiced a critical question. How could the medical examiner declare this an accident without any understanding of how these substances were introduced into Lauren's system? The considerable delay in the report's release only intensified the family's feeling that crucial time and potential evidence were being mishandled.
It's been a mystery for more than a year that no one seems to have answers to. The young life of Lauren Smith Fields suddenly cut short. Her family left wondering, what exactly happened the night she died?
When I talk to this family, sometimes the pain is just unbearable.
On December 11th, 2021, the 23-year-old from Bridgeport was with a man she met on the dating app Bumble. The next morning, that man called 911 after finding her unresponsive. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner ruled her death an accident, saying she died of a mixture of alcohol and drugs. But the details of what led up to that are still unclear more than a year later.
I think the first thing it sends to the family is that we don't care.
Attorney Darnell Crosland is representing the family and plans to sue the city of Bridgeport over the handling of this case. He says they're still waiting on public records that might give them the answers they're looking for.
We've asked for 911 calls that were made either from that individual to the city or maybe from that individual to other police officers.
He says their asks have fallen into a sea of pending Freedom of Information Act requests the city is facing.
While it gives us some solace to know that we're not alone, it also highlights the fact that other people are hurting as well. Other people in the city aren't getting answers as well.
The city of Bridgeport declined an interview but confirmed it has almost 3,000 requests open and pending at this time. Last month, officials announced the city will be implementing a new policy that involves each department handling its own requests to address what it called a bottleneck delay. For Smithfield's family, though, the lack of answers from investigators started long before this so-called delay. They were not notified of her death by police, but rather by her landlord.
The news of Lauren's death reached her family not through an official notification, but through a handwritten note from her landlord left on her apartment door. This initial lack of contact from the Bridgeport Police Department inflicted immediate and profound pain, setting a tone of distrust that would only deepen in the days and weeks that followed.
When they aren't notified when their loved one dies and they come 2 days later find a note on her door, the disregard and disrespect starts right there. Both blue and red, it was all green lights for yes. And so we're happy that that passed because in the future, other people will benefit from that.
An internal affairs investigation into the Bridgeport Police Department's handling of her death has been completed, but what it found continues to be one of the family's many unanswered questions.
We haven't gotten the results of the internal affairs. Not a finding of yes, not a finding of no, just nothing.
Bridgeport Police also started a criminal investigation into Smithfield's death, led by its Narcotics and Vice Unit. That investigation is still ongoing.
For a family grappling with unimaginable loss, this absence of basic communication felt like a profound disregard. Seeking answers, Lauren's family turned to the authorities, their first question revolving around Matthew LaFontaine, the individual who was with Lauren in her final hours. They were met with a response that further fueled their anxieties. The detective assigned to the case reportedly dismissed LaFontaine as a potential person of interest, stating he seemed like a nice guy. This apparent premature judgment, without a comprehensive inquiry, raised serious questions about the thoroughness of the initial steps taken.
How would you and your family want different in your daughter's death investigation?
Moving forward, I want them to give us answers and don't discard us like we're rubbish. And moving forward, I want Detective Cronin to be fired. I mean, this whole police force from the top to the bottom needs to be revamped. How do you tell a family, stop calling, don't call me anymore, and make us wait for almost an hour, almost 2 hours, and never show up? Yeah, I want his badge.
Adding to their distress, Lauren's family alleges a significant lapse in fundamental investigative procedures. They themselves discovered items within Lauren's apartment, a used condom containing semen, bloodstained sheets, and an unidentified pill, evidence they firmly believe should have been meticulously collected and analyzed by the police. Instead, they claim these crucial pieces of potential information were overlooked. Their attempts to obtain updates on the investigation were allegedly met with minimal information, repeated stonewalling, and even instances of abrupt dismissal.
So the mere fact that this gentleman may have brought these drugs to the house and given it to Lauren, he's guilty of selling drugs under the 21A statute, and that's a 15-year felony. And so the fact that she died then becomes a sale and a manslaughter connected directly.
The family says it will sue the city of Bridgeport and the police department.
In their pursuit of justice, Lauren's family and their legal team voiced a grave concern, the possibility of racial bias influencing the investigation's initial handling. They drew parallels to other cases where missing or deceased young white women garnered significant media attention and extensive law enforcement resources, a disparity often referred to as missing white woman syndrome. This comparison underscored their fear that Lauren, a young black woman, did not receive the same level of urgency and meticulous attention from the outset, because she was Black. As the details surrounding Lauren's death and her family's accusations of mishandling began to circulate online, a powerful wave of public sentiment began to swell. Platforms like TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram became digital spaces for collective grief and demands for accountability. Lauren's story resonated with countless individuals who felt a sense of injustice and a desire for the truth to surface. The case garnered even greater visibility when the influential artist Cardi B lent her voice to the growing chorus of concern. Her public acknowledgement of Lauren's story amplified the pressure on the authorities exponentially, bringing the case to the attention of a far wider audience and intensifying the scrutiny on the initial findings. Fueled by their profound loss and the burgeoning public support, Lauren's family took their fight to the streets. They organized marches and rallies, their voices echoing with a resolute determination to not let their daughter's death be forgotten or dismissed.
Thousands of people marched through Bridgeport demanding answers. The case led to the passage of what is now being called Lauren's Law, requiring Connecticut law enforcement agencies to make death notifications in a timely manner.
Here in our Black community, we pay taxes, and they should be working for us and our family and show that they care for us and they're not going to just throw us out like we're rubbish. Every Black person, every person of color matters.
These public demonstrations served as a tangible manifestation of the widespread demand for answers and a more thorough inquiry. Faced with this mounting public pressure and the unwavering advocacy of Lauren's family, the Bridgeport Police Department announced a significant change in their approach. On January 25, 2022, they declared the opening of a criminal investigation into the death of Lauren Smith Fields. This decision marked a distinct departure from their initial classification of the case and underscored the impact of persistent advocacy and public demand for a closer examination. Matthew LaFontaine was the individual who placed the 911 call, reporting Lauren's unresponsiveness. He cooperated with the initial inquiries made by the Bridgeport Police Department. His legal counsel later stated that Mr. LaFontaine continued to assist the authorities and was no longer considered the central point of their investigation. Despite this assertion, Lauren's family has maintained a persistent skepticism regarding Mr. LaFontaine's involvement. They have repeatedly highlighted the contradictions between his version of events and the physical findings within Lauren's apartment. The questions surrounding his actions and statements on that night remain a significant point of concern. As of March 2023, the criminal investigation into Lauren's death remained active. This continued inquiry was being spearheaded by the Bridgeport Police Narcotics and Vice Division, with the added resources and expertise of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. The DEA's involvement signaled a particular emphasis on understanding the nature and origin of the substances found in Lauren's toxicology report. The initial handling of the case also led to internal repercussions within the Bridgeport Police Department. Two detectives who were part of the original investigation faced suspension due to concerns regarding their conduct. Although these suspensions were later reversed, the fact that such measures were taken at all speaks to the acknowledged shortcomings in the initial response.
Evening. I'm Christine Johnson.
I'm Maurice Dubois. Dana is off tonight, and we begin here at 6 with two Bridgeport police detectives suspended tonight.
They're being investigated for their handling of the deaths of two Black women. The families of 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields and 53-year-old Brenda Lee Rawls say Bridgeport police never alerted them their loved ones had died. CBS 2's Leah Mishkin reports now with Rawls' sister.
She was not only my sister, she was my best friend.
Bridgeport resident Brenda Lee Rawls was one of 9 siblings. She didn't have any kids, but was very close to her nieces and nephews. The 53-year-old spoke to her sister Dorothy Washington every day.
She was a funny person.
On Saturday, December 11, Rawls told her siblings she was going to an acquaintance's house, a man who lived on the same street. 3 days later, the family was worried. She wasn't answering calls or texts, so they went to his place to find her.
He said with a smirk and a laugh, "No, Brenda, she died Sunday."
The family says all they have is his word that he tried to wake their sister up Sunday morning, but she never did. He called 911 and she was pronounced dead on the scene.
In my opinion, he had something to do with it.
Washington says her sister was in good health. The autopsy results are still pending.
As they were walking away from his house, he yelled out and said, Can you tell me what the autopsy say?
Washington doesn't understand why police never notified her family about the death. She says the apartment was never searched for evidence. They don't even know if police ever questioned the acquaintance.
I don't know if she was a black female in a low-income area and they thought nobody would miss her.
The family called police, hospitals, funeral homes to locate Rawls' body. Bridgeport police will not take questions from us, but did put out a late statement saying there was no sign of trauma or evidence of foul play on the victim's body. On Sunday, Bridgeport's mayor announced 2 detectives named Lanos and Cronin were suspended from duties.
Insensitivity, disrespect in action, or deviation from policy will not be tolerated.
Washington says the mayor should have taken action weeks ago.
That kind of, for me, looks like he was forced to do it.
The family says they think the Bridgeport Police Department needs a complete overhaul, and they want the DOJ or the FBI to step in to take over this investigation. In Bridgeport, Connecticut, Leah Mishkin, CBS 2 News.
The family of the other Connecticut woman plans to sue the Bridgeport Police Department. 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields was found dead in her home while reportedly on a date in December. Autopsy results show Smith Fields had alcohol and drugs in her system, including fentanyl. Her family says police did not notify them about the death and that some evidence wasn't processed until weeks later.
In their determined pursuit of accountability, Lauren's family initiated formal legal proceedings against the city of Bridgeport and its police department. They filed a notice of intent to sue, a precursor to a significant lawsuit seeking redress for what they believed was negligence and a violation of their fundamental civil rights.
Without a doubt, we know that my daughter was not a drug user, and I had a second autopsy myself, paid out of pocket, because we felt so uncomfortable with the way it was handled.
It's Lauren. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel.
Lauren was a familiar face to YouTube audiences. Her family says she had been a track star at Stamford High School and was now studying physical therapy at Norwalk Community College. A sweet child, they say, who had blossomed into a beautiful young woman who had the whole world at her feet. They say Lauren had met, quote, an older white man on the dating app Bumble, and it was he who alerted police to Lauren's death. The family says they are not satisfied with answers they got from an investigator.
I asked him about the guy. He just made it seem like the guy was a nice guy. It was nothing to investigate.
The only contact that we have had was from a very insensitive, condescending, and arrogant detective.
Lauren's dad reading a scathing statement saying police failed to extend the most basic courtesies and told his family to stop calling. Councilwoman Maria Pereira says police owe Lauren's mom an apology.
She sent a really well-written email, and I was shocked when just yesterday she told me she had not even received a response.
A mom who's left to plan her daughter's funeral just days before Christmas says she's struggling to find a path forward.
Life is not the same. I don't know who I'm going to be after this.
In Bridgeport, Frank Recchia, News 12, Connecticut.
Their legal action asserted that the flawed and inadequate investigation into Lauren's death effectively denied them justice. Underlying their legal strategy was a deep-seated lack of confidence in the impartiality of the local authorities. Consequently, Lauren's family vocally advocated for an independent investigation into her death, urging intervention from a state or federal agency. They believed that an unbiased external review was essential to uncover the complete truth surrounding the circumstances of her passing. To bolster their efforts and gain greater control over the search for answers, the family launched a GoFundMe campaign. This initiative resonated deeply with the public, garnering substantial financial support that allowed them to engage a private investigator to conduct their own independent inquiry into Lauren's final hours. However, their legal path encountered a significant setback in February 2025. A federal judge dismissed their civil rights lawsuit, stating that while the police investigations may have demonstrated negligence, the evidence presented did not conclusively prove that racial discrimination was the underlying cause of the flawed investigation. Despite this unfavorable ruling, the judge offered the family an opportunity to revise their complaint, indicating that their legal fight for justice for Lauren may continue. The narrative of Lauren Smith Fields' death has resonated far beyond the personal tragedy endured by her family. It has amplified a critical national conversation surrounding race and potential disparities within the justice system, particularly in the context of death investigations. For many, Lauren's story serves as a stark example of how systemic biases might contribute to differences in the urgency and thoroughness applied to cases involving Black individuals. The initial response from the Bridgeport Police Department to Lauren's death ignited significant concerns regarding police conduct and the sensitivity shown to grieving families. Yet, amidst the pain and the struggle for justice, a tangible measure of progress emerged. The delayed and insensitive notification experienced by Lauren's family directly spurred legislative action in Connecticut. Lawmakers, recognizing the profound impact of this failure in communication, unanimously passed a new law mandating that all police departments across the state must notify the families of deceased individuals within 24 hours of identification. This legislative change stands as a direct consequence of Lauren's story, with a testament to the power of advocacy in translating individual tragedy into systemic reform. Even with the ongoing criminal investigation and the positive legislative changes that have emerged, critical questions surrounding Lauren Smithfield's final hours persist. The origin of the lethal cocktail of substances found in her system remains a mystery. The discrepancies within Matthew LaFontaine's account of that night continue to raise doubts. And the fact that Lauren's own family discovered potential evidence, seemingly overlooked by the initial investigators, underscores the need for deeper scrutiny. The pursuit of justice for Lauren Smithfields is a journey that continues. Her family's commitment to uncovering the truth remains unwavering. They persist in their demand for a comprehensive and transparent investigation, one that will finally yield the answers they have so long sought and so rightfully deserve. Help us amplify Lauren's story. By sharing this video, you could become a vital part of ensuring her case is not forgotten and that the pressure for a just resolution remains. Let her name resonate, and let the demand for truth continue to echo. Now let's take a moment to reflect on the items discovered by Lauren's family. A used condom, bloodstained sheets, and a single, unidentified pill. While the condom and sheets raised immediate questions, the pill remains an enigma. Though time has passed since that December morning, but the full picture of Lauren Smithfield's final hours remains incomplete. Her family's pursuit of clarity continues, their determination unwavering. The answers they seek may still lie hidden, waiting to be brought into the light. In order to keep Lauren's story alive, we urge y'all to share and like these video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps bring these stories to light. Thanks for watching and see you on our next story.